So one of the grossest parts of the Ukraine scandal is that now mainstream media outlets are suddenly in love with whistleblowers. Now, that is not a bad thing on its own, but these are the same people who have relentlessly smeared and gone after Snowden and Assange and Manning. So let's watch a clip on this. CNN almost gets it right, okay? But then listen to what they say at the end of this segment, because this says everything about how they're trying to maintain previous narratives while also embracing the whistleblower from today.
We still don't know who the whistleblower is, but the complaint's contents have catapulted Washington into an impeachment inquiry into President Trump. The now declassified document alleging Trump tried to get Ukraine to interfere with the 2020 U.S. election. With all the talk of a whistleblower in Washington in the past few days, what does that exactly mean? It's defined as an employee who brings wrongdoing by an employer or other employees to the attention of a government or law enforcement agency, and who was commonly vested by statute with rights and remedies for retaliation. In this broad category of people, one of the most famous in American history, Mark Felt, better known as Deep Throat. The FBI informant helped take down the Nixon administration, divulging crucial information about Watergate. And in 1971, military analyst Daniel Ellsberg leaked top-secret Department of Defense information about why the U.S. entered the Vietnam War. William Binney and Thomas Drake were NSA officials who informed the Inspector General about government surveillance programs they perceived as invading citizens' privacy by monitoring their internet activity. FBI agent Colleen Rowley flagged then FBI Director Robert Mueller about intelligence failures before the 9/11 attacks. Or Sergeant Joseph Darby, who told military investigators in 2004 about inmate abuse at the Abu Ghraib prison in Iraq. Not everyone who blew the whistle on the government has been rewarded. For some, it meant the end of their careers, or even worse.
Winter's willful, purposeful disclosure caused exceptionally grave damage to U.S. national security.
Former NSA contractor Reality Winter leaked a secret report about Russian hacking of the 2016 election to a news organization. Now she's serving a sentence of more than 5 years after pleading guilty to leaking that classified information to the media.
Winter will serve a term of incarceration that will give pause to others who are entrusted with our country's sensitive national security information.
The Air Force veteran's mother telling CNN in March she's being painted as evil.
I think that we as Americans deserved that proof. And so how is it that she put us in danger by giving us that proof?
Winter's the first person arrested under the Trump administration using the Espionage Act, established in 1917 during World War I, originally intended to prosecute anyone interfering in U.S. war efforts. So people like spies. In modern times, it's the same law that sent Edward Snowden into exile in Russia. The former intelligence contractor accused of leaking NSA documents revealing a secret global surveillance program.
These leaks have inflamed and sensationalized for ignoble purposes the work that intelligence community does lawfully under strict oversight and compliance.
Earlier this month, Snowden said he'd like to return to the U.S. if he's guaranteed a fair trial.
I'm not asking for a parade. I'm not asking for a pardon. I'm not asking for a pass. What I'm asking for is a fair trial. And this is the bottom line that any American should require.
And in May, the Justice Department indicting WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange of 18 Espionage Act counts, ordering him extradited to the U.S. after spending 7 years at the Ecuadorian embassy in London. Assange charged with conspiring to help former intelligence analyst Chelsea Manning, who spent 2 separate terms behind bars in connection with leaking secret Defense Department documents in 2010, published to WikiLeaks' website. President Obama commuted her sentence, and she was released in 2017. Manning telling CNN in May she has no regrets.
I did what I did with the information that I had, the knowledge that I had, and the tools and resources that I had at the time. In 2010, when all this happened, it was a very different, landscape.
And it's important to point out the difference between the whistleblower involved in this Ukraine matter and folks like Julian Assange and Reality Winner who face criminal prosecution. They leaked or helped leak secrets for publication. That's a lot different than this case where the person went through the channels within the government established by law. So who counts as a whistleblower we're seeing is somewhat subjective. As James Clapper, the former director of national intelligence, put it, One man's leaker is another man's whistleblower.
No, there are legal definitions here.
Absolutely.
And to be clear, the person in this case, as you so correctly note, is protected by the legal definition of whistleblower. Joseph McGuire, the acting DNI, yesterday made clear that this person followed the letter of the law completely.
Right, very, very different.
That'd be very, very, very different. It's very different. So, in other words, what the argument they're trying to make is like, we like what this one is saying, so this one's great and a hero, and they went through all the proper channels. And the other ones, there's legal definitions, and, you know, you gotta go through the proper channels, and so it's very, very different. They're facing criminal charges, so obviously that means that, you know, probably did something wrong, right? Oh, boy. See? So they're trying to have their cake and eat it, too. We love this new whistleblower who exposed Donald Trump. Exposed him. But, Snowden, the thorn in the thigh of the NSA, who's spying on absolutely everybody and collecting metadata on everybody and has no real oversight. They have a rubber stamp FISA court, but it's the proper channels. Just so everybody knows, Snowden and Manning tried to do that. Snowden and Manning tried to do that. Now, in the case of Julian Assange, he's playing a role as an actual, journalist. So, namely, holding people in power accountable for things that they shouldn't do. Like, oh, hey, Julian Assange, I'm going to show the American people that their tax dollars were going towards bombing innocent people and then doing a double tap and killing the first responders, and the soldiers that you're paying were laughing about it. And oh yeah, by the way, those soldiers never spent a day in jail, even though they murdered civilians and then circled and murdered more civilians and then laughed about it. But Chelsea Manning did spend time in jail. They're going after Julian Assange right this second. So that's his job. His job is to expose what the powerful are doing, and he did it well. But that's different. Criminal charges. Right, and the charges are bullshit. In the same way that if charges were brought up against this whistleblower, it'd be bullshit. Now, just so everybody knows, the leaks that just happened, let's not get it twisted. We know damn well it came from, the CIA or the NSA, whoever was, spying on him. So that happened. But notice something. Oh, wow. This show is consistent. Hey, the only time that you're going to hear me really go after a whistleblower is when they're exposing something that we all agree it's insane to expose. Like if somebody's leaking the nuclear launch codes, well then no, we know that that's somebody who's really not a whistleblower. They're trying to cause problems. They're trying to bring destruction. That might be an actual case of hey, maybe this is espionage. Okay? But outside of that, the government just takes whatever they don't like that exposes them and they say, you can't talk about this. Top secret, classified. And it's well, no, we're not playing that game. Edward Snowden is a hero because he showed that the government's spying on all of us, collecting our metadata. They don't have any good oversight. They have a rubber stamp FISA court, which lets them get away with whatever they want to get away with. They're spying on their loved ones. I mean, this dude went deep and exposed everything. And by the way, he was really careful with what to release and what not to release, what actually threatens national security and what doesn't. That's a hero. Chelsea Manning, exposing our war crimes, hero. Julian Assange, exposing the powerful, hero. That's what these people are. Now, by the way, that doesn't mean I agree with them on everything. I was prodding Julian Assange where, okay, great, you exposed the DNC. I'm happy he did that. I just wish he also exposed the RNC. I wish, now he could say, hey, I didn't have access to that, maybe. But I don't think he really even wanted at that point because he was just trying to go after the DNC. Now, again, I'm in favor of the DNC leaks. But point is, I don't agree with everything they do. But no, there is no difference. The idea, there's a difference because we don't like them, but we like this new leaker because he's getting Trump. That's what they're trying to do, and that's what's so frustrating here is they're trying to act like whistleblowers are great now because we have a whistleblower on Trump. But when it was whistleblowers before Trump who were still doing the right thing, they don't give them their due. They don't give them their credit. And even to this day, as they're praising whistleblowers and praising this one under Trump, they're but it's different. There's criminal prosecution and there's rules that you say what a whistleblower is and isn't. By the way, this is why these people are hired by CNN. All those hosts you just saw there, this is why they're hired. Because they're not going to do the kind of analysis I just did for you. They're not going to say, hold on now. No, that these people are actually heroes as well. So let's acknowledge that. They're not going to do that. Why? Because the deep state, and yes, that is a real thing, even if you want to pretend like it's not, they don't want them to do that. Now, I'm not saying it's a mustache twirling conspiracy. I'm saying the only reason they were hired is because they're not going to rock the boat too much. And they're going to push the narrative that the powerful want them to push. And the narrative the powerful want them to push is, after all this, oh, the leaker on Trump, good. The leakers and the whistleblowers on, under Obama, or exposing war crimes of the U.S. military, bad. It's different. It's criminal prosecution and stuff, and this is the legal definitions we're dealing with. So, it's different. No, it's not. And they all deserve credit. And CNN should be calling for Edward Snowden to come home. CNN should be calling for the release of Chelsea Manning, who's still being persecuted to this day. CNN should be calling for the release of Julian Assange. Because all the time, they all pretend like, no, the First Amendment! Oh, this president is coming after the First Amendment because he's being mean to Chuck Todd. No, you guys all sit there and cheer as Julian Assange is a victim of untoward state power, and you're fine with him being persecuted and prosecuted. You're fine with that. You like that. And then you turn around and scream about the First Amendment. No, the heart of the First Amendment is what he was doing. Hey, I'm exposing the powerful. See, this is stuff that people should know. I like how I just spit across the room. But he's exposing the powerful, see? No. See, he's doing what they're supposed to be doing, so he makes them look bad. So they're like, it's different. Criminal prosecution. Embarrassing, pathetic, stupid, dumb. They almost had it, and then they had to drive it into a ditch at the end of the conversation and the end of the segment there.